Hello, my name is Christine Jacinto, and today I'll be doing a deep dive on the film Coraline. A 2009 dark fantasy stop-motion film based on Neil Gaiman's book of the same name, Coraline features a parallel world it seems a lot better than reality, but it ties poetically a lot to the saying, all that glitters is not gold. The film centers around a young girl, Coraline, who moves to a very old house with her parents. She often feels ignored and overlooked by them, and she misses her old friends and her stomping grounds. As she explores her new home and her surroundings, she discovers a small hidden door that's been covered with bricks. At night, she's compelled to look for the door again, which introduces her to a winding tunnel and an alternate parallel world. In the so-called other world, everything seems the same, but better and slightly different. As Coraline continues to spend time in this other world, things get a little bit stranger, and she realizes that not everything is what it seems, and that she and her family are in danger and must find a way out. In terms of directing, the director was Henry Selick, and he directed the film and adapted it from its novel state. He seemed to aim for a continued sense of jumping from reality to fantasy and merging them with darkness, wonder, and adventure. It was decided that actress Teri Hatcher would voice both Coraline's real mother, Mel Jones, and the other mother. And this was because it helped with a sense of cohesion and it adds a sort of connection between the characters that are meant to reflect one another. Overall, many directing choices were made to keep consistencies with the original story, yet some things had to be changed for visual representation. So, in terms of production design, Coraline was produced by Portland animation studio Laika Entertainment. And Laika Entertainment, uh, as I said, is located in Portland. They work with a lot of projects, but mainly they work in stop motion. And so the film itself is an incredible convergence of artistry, film technique, and technologies. Stop motion film already takes a lot of dedication, precision, and patience. But the film takes it to a next level by creating an immersive experience. In fact, according to Laika Studios, Coraline is the first stop-motion film to integrate visual effects and 3D printing, rapid prototype technology into traditional stop-motion production. It was also the first stop-motion film animated feature to be photographed in stereoscopic 3D. And so, essentially, what this means is that Laika had a lot of innovation going on with this film, and the craft and patience behind films like Coraline is already incredibly immense. For Coraline specifically, though, it took 18 months to complete the printable photography and over 500 people, and more than 4 years to finish creating the film. As we can see, it's very detail oriented. They had to deal with the stop motion and the minimal movements of the dolls and the facial expressions as well. So incredibly detail oriented is this work. In terms of script writing, the film is based on a novel that was published in 2002. The script did have a lot of the script did and does have a lot of the same elements as the original novel. However, there are some key differences. When you read the novel, you do get more of a slower pace, and it's a bit gothic in a sense compared to the movie, which is has more of a sense of adventure, and it places it at a bit of a faster pace in terms of a thriller kind of feeling. Um, the script places a lot of emphasis on the thrill portion, and also the relationships between people that you don't really see that a lot in the novel. Um, for example, the character of Wybie wasn't in the novel originally, but he was introduced later in the film as sort of a dialogue counterpart to Coraline, because otherwise, a lot of the thoughts that could be, translated in novel format because they're internalized in her character, they wouldn't be as visual on the screen without that additional character. And so there were some changes to the script. Um, there were some changes in terms of transferring and adapting the novel's story to the script and to the movie. In terms of cinematography, there's a very clear choice made in the movie to combine both sculptural 3D art and digital animation. It's often used to give more of a feeling that the film is of suspense and edge. So, for example, um, as Coraline begins to understand the eeriness of her situation and the other world and the other mother, she attempts to walk away from it, and she finds that the world actually disintegrates around her, almost in a pixel-like kind of way. This artistic direction helps the audience feel just as confused and on edge as Coraline because, as the audience, we're not able to immediately understand what's happening. We see a convergence between both the 3D portion and the digital animation portion. Um, but it does form a sense of connection between both us as the audience and viewer and to the character of Coraline. And it places emphasis on the idea and the character motivation behind the other mother because it shows that just like the animators and the directors of the film itself, the other mother is a creator and has limitations. Lighting and color is also very important to the film, as we see in this one screenshot of a scene where Coraline is traveling through a tunnel full of purple and blue and pink. It's really colors of wonder and adventure. And as she interacts with the world around her, we see a reflection of her emotions. For example, a lot of the colors are a bit more fantastical in the other world compared to, say, the dull colors of her normal world, of the real world. Sound is also very important to the film, and we see this a lot in terms of the stark differences in emotion that are presented between the two worlds. This also goes hand in hand with the colors. There's a squeaking of a door and more mundane sounds in the real world compared to the more fantastical elements of, say, little mice playing trumpets in the other world, which again contrasts back to the more dull sounds of a drip drop faucet or dull sounds that you would hear in an old house. Um, so it really goes to reflect and push the story a bit more. There's a mixture of high tempo and creepy music as well at the very beginning of the film, and we see this in the creation of Coraline's doll by the Bell Dam, and it places a lot of emotion that's incredibly important to pushing the film forward. Overall, the film is very important to the field because of its artistic experimentation. The making of the film involved a lot of passion and dedication, and really it serves as the introduction to the horror genre for a lot of younger audiences, which makes it incredibly important. And it connects with adventurous and wonder-filled characters, and audiences alike.